by human global standards, you're a strong motherfucker. Like you're on a plane in a tank top, grandma sitting next to you is going to be like, whoa, you're an athlete.
I wanted to talk about this because it's kind of a controversial subject and a lot of people have strong opinions one way or the other. I wanted to see what you thought. Can all healthy males, so you're not have low test levels, you're not like 3 feet tall, like you're just the average healthy male. Can the average healthy?
Greg, that's offensive.
Yeah, we're pretty short. Maybe. How tall are you exactly?
5'6.5".
Okay, I'm 5'6.25". So I mean, we're pretty much identical. So I was 5'6.5" 20 years ago, and I think I just shrunk a quarter inch.
Yep.
I almost I had it in at a competition one time, and you diet, and you're in Germany, and they're like, you're 5'5.9". It was in centimeter, and I was like, because like I traveled this many miles, and I'm like, wait a minute, let me get on again, and I just stood straighter, and I was like 5'6.25". I'm like, okay, because I wasn't really. You have to really stretch the neck.
You got to really stretch it out.
That was a panic mode. But anyway, to the question. So you're natural here. So not enhanced. Can all healthy males, if they dedicate their lives, like they train perfectly, they have a coach, they do everything 100%, they train their ass off. Bench 300, squat 400, and deadlift 500.
No.
And why not?
So all human traits, generally, or almost all, or what we call in science normally distributed, which means there's like a bell curve, right? And that means most people are capable of, on average, like if they push themselves a certain thing, and it means that fewer and fewer and fewer people are capable of really insane shit, and then fewer and fewer people are capable of very not impressive things. But those fewer people exist. And there's numerically, like statistically, there's not a lot. Like, let's say the bottom 10% of genetic responders to weight training. Okay, it's only 10%, right? 90% of people are better. 10% of the world's healthy males, that's fucking millions of people.
Right.
It's like maybe like 50,000 of your YouTube subscribers are in that bottom 10% of responders to weight training. And that means that they are capable maximum without just gearing them out to the fucking moon and get them on Derek More Plates, More Dates.com or some shit like that. Just short of that, they're going to be really limited in how big and strong they can get. I have coached and seen individuals at the prime of their life, mid-20s, having trained for 5 years, whose maximum bench is like 105 pounds for a set of 10. And I'm doing all my sports science bullshit on them, and they're maybe gaining 5 pounds on their bench every 6 months to a year.
Right.
I mean, where are you going to get a 300-pound bench out of that? The sheer math just doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And that's a real fucking person. Those people exist. And that's numerically a lot of people. I think if you scale those numbers you gave me down by 100 pounds on each lift, most people can do that.
Yeah,
most
that's my point. As soon as you say all, it's not all.
Correct.
It's not all. I mean, I could say like it could be half those numbers, not all can do it. Correct. But if we switch it to something like, because I first read it, can most? And I'm like, no, most can't. Most can't. They're going to say, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people like a 400-pound squat took me a long time to get to. And I'm telling, people say I'm bragging. I have above average genetics for strength. I mean, I have a world record. It's hard for me to have done it. So then we further exaggerate this to this. It's been stated that to achieve elite level standards in powerlifting, most people can do that natural. And I said, by definition, it's an elite standard that's there because most cannot do it. And there's been tons of videos made about this. And I disagree. And they're talking and it's all about I'm wrong. And it's because they don't want to believe that there's such a strong genetic component. They want to think that, no, if you're not bench, and just so you know, the elite standard, 181 pounds in the bench press is 345. So 181 and under weight class, 345. They're saying most people could do that. And I listed my brother, editor Steve, who's a bodybuilding and powerlifting champion, couldn't do it. And Will Tennyson, who's a Gymshark sponsored athlete, but trains really hard, couldn't do it. And I'm like, to say that most people can do it, to me, it's shocking. And it's like, they think I'm shitting on people that I'm just saying, well, I'm crushing dreams, that you just can't do it. And they'll use themselves as an example, say, well, I'm under 180 and I have shitty genetics and I did it. And I'm like, you have great genetics, but they don't want to admit that. People just can't seem to thank their genetics. Like the fact that you're well over 200 pounds of muscle, obviously your genetics are pretty damn good to build muscle. You wouldn't be where you are right now if you weren't. Same as intelligence. You have a PhD. You're a smart guy. You don't get that without some kind of genetics. Obviously, you studied hard, you worked hard, you did all the right things, but there's a genetic component that allowed you to do that, which I believe is the same thing in lifting weights.
I can't agree with you more. I would say even the opposite statement is more true. If you say most people at 181 pounds will never be able to bench 345 plus, I would absolutely agree to that.
Yeah, I said as a stat, I said, I mean, if 1 in 10 can, I would say it's 1 in 100. Like if I had to just guess, like I'm saying, if I was coaching them or the best coach in the world is training them, they give them 20 years to do it and they're natural 181 pounds. That is it's elite standard for a reason. I mean, think of all the people who compete in powerlifting. It's mostly people who are good at lifting weights. So You're already getting to a smaller sample size of people who are actually genetically pretty good at that. If they weren't, they'd probably be running marathons or something different, So people who compete in lifting weights are usually strong people to start with, and not many of them can do it. So how could they say, it's shocking that people think I'm wrong, but I think that it's just that people don't want to be told the hard truth. They want to know, I always say, tell them what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. I tell you what you need to hear. You need to hear this. If you bench 300 at 180, that's freaking amazing. And if you get to 345, that's a combination of genetics and hard work.
Oh yeah. I think a lot of people that say stuff like that have some combination of like understandable, like hopefulness. You want to say shit that makes everyone feel nice. Like, yeah, I wish everyone else was all capable of the same shit. It's just not true. And another thing is I think a lot of those folks haven't really been a coach or trainer to normal populations before. Because if you watch enough YouTube videos and have enough Instagram feed, you just think like everyone can be Larry Wheels if they try hard enough. Because like you got like 5 Larry Wheels on your feed. It's fucking everyone's like that, right? But then you actually go train normal population, like the co-founder of Renaissance Periodization. Check out our YouTube channel, by the way, shameless plug. Co-founder Nick Shaw and I, we were trainers like at a very high level gym in New York City back in the day. And we trained like the people that like ran the finance departments of various huge banks, just all multimillionaires and shit. And these are the kind of the people that were probably like average / nerds when they were in high school. Like, the kids that weren't like jocks or sports people. And I tell you what, like we had a whole gym of these guys, great people, dedicated. Like these aren't the motherfuckers that skip workouts. Like they're just good at everything they do. Dedication is never a problem. These guys, if you benched 185 at all, never mind for reps, you were in the top 5% strongest people at that gym. If you could handle a plate on a side in the bench for reps, people turned and looked and they're like, damn, you're doing real well, Tom. He was like, thanks, guys. It took me a while to get here. Like a 225 plus deadlift to reps was some shit that was pretty impressive. I've trained plenty of adult men who have to train for a few months to be able to work with 135 in the deadlift. That's some real shit. Like those are real people and they're out there. And remember, automatically, the gym population is already self-selected for people that are pretty fucking good at the gym. And then your Instagram is a tiny subset of that population, which are really fucking good at the shit. Like my genetics for bench pressing, for example, I never bench pressed. I was like 120 pounds. All I did was deficit push-ups and just various kinds of push-ups over one summer in my freshman to sophomore year. And then I benched 175 at 120 pounds. And it was like, okay.
Yeah, that's a big bench.
Big. Yeah. Like, and I remember telling other wrestlers, like, I bench 175, and they're like, holy shit. Like, even that's impressive when you weigh 120, right? And then eventually I benched like 370 at 181 raw. And like, I got like a federation record for that shit. Like, that was high. Like, when I would do that at the university gym at Michigan, when I had like 3 plates, like you could have a 180-pound kid with 3 plates and change, and he's doing reps. Everyone stops what they're doing and looks.
Exactly.
Like, that's rare. And it's rare for a fucking reason. Because most people, even when they dedicate themselves to it, like the strong people in college, may be able to do reps with 225 on the bench. Like if you can rep 225 on the bench, by human global standards, you're a strong motherfucker. Like you're on a plane at a tank top, grandma sitting next to you is going to be like, whoa, you are, and you're an athlete, right? Like if you bench 400 for reps, you're some kind of freak. That's like, there's 1 in 10,000 of people like you. People forget that. And I think a big part of that is social media. Like they see this shit every day. Like everyone benches 400. Like really? Everyone?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
desensitized from it, and we're only shown the stories of success. That person said, look at me and look at me in 5 years and look at this transformation. I worked really hard to get it. And I'm like, yeah, but you still had great genetics.